Welcome to Dr. Roger and Friends, the bright side of longevity, hosted by three Ps in a podcast, Doc Roger, Teresa, and Danielle. Thanks for joining us for Coffee and Conversation.
So, I just went to Italy. It was magnificent. But, I hadn't been there in a while, a couple decades even. And the difference between what I remembered and what I saw, even in Italy, was huge. And most of that change was related to, technology, all that's happened with us. The cell phone thing, selfies. Oh, boy, everybody's taking a selfie and immediately sending it to their friend in New Zealand or wherever. And certainly, cars and computers and all that was there, but it was a radical gap between what I remembered and, just plummeting myself into it. It's like we all went to sleep, like Rip Van Winkle or something, for a while. And what would we think when we woke up? So it's a big part of our lives today. And, it's good. Isn't it? What do you think?
For the most part, yeah. I was thinking two sides when you're saying they're taking selfies. On the one hand, you get to share your experience with all your friends back home and, really make it sink in. But on the other hand, you're like so busy getting the shot, do you miss the moment? So,
yeah, you have your back to whatever you're taking your picture of.
Yeah. But it is amazing. And you're right. It's so much has changed so quickly.
But it's way beyond cameras and that sort of thing. What the capabilities we have now to combat loneliness, to keep socially connected, to keep healthy, to monitor our heart, all of those things. I mean, you could go on and on, right? I bet you guys have some good ideas about what, the kind of positive stuff that technology's brought to the table.
For me, absolutely. I love hiking alone with my dog. And I would have never done that before because I have a terrible sense of direction. But with certain apps now, I'm confident and I go and I have the best time. And not only that, but there's transportation and there's the wearables that keep our health and our fitness top of mind. There's so many ways to meet new people thanks to technology.
Boy, that's the truth. We hear of people who live alone, who are aging, living alone. And they can see their grandkids or great-grandkids in a second, and share their day. And I know, having been in the military and deployed, the ability to see your family has to be enormous benefit because I would go months without seeing their faces. I might get to hear their voice for a minute or two with a specially arranged call, but now that as bad as being deployed is or being in those areas, that's got to be some comfort.
Yeah. And I'm thinking about when you say loneliness, when I moved down to Paris, I didn't know anybody at first. So I'd go on meetup groups for common interests and just to get to know people. So if you're by yourself, think of it if you're by yourself and you don't want to drive at night in a town you don't know, but you have a meetup and you can call an Uber. It just opens up so many opportunities for us.
You just took your first Uber ride, didn't you?
I did take my first Uber ride.
Yeah, see that? I mean, you were able to connect with someone, you never knew.
Didn't have to worry about parking, on festival night. It worked out quite well.
And then think of what happened, in the Middle East not so long ago, where they were able to gather hundreds of thousands of people in a square at the same time. They were demonstrating. But just that ability to organize any event and to get people with a common interest together. And once again, people who live at home, they're able to use apps and their family can monitor their activities and how well they are. And then, of course, there's the commercials. I've fallen and I can't get up. And you have something that can call someone immediately or the what is it called? N-Star in the cars where you can call someone right away. It's all magnificent stuff.
Hey, there was the one on the news where the guy was hiking and he had his Apple Watch set up to monitor if there was a fall. And the Apple Watch knew that he and a friend actually took a tumble off a cliff. They survived, but they couldn't move. They couldn't get out of their location, and the Apple Watch called 911.
Oh,
so,
wow.
Or I think of the smart mirrors that can help monitor your health and remind you, take your vitamins, make sure you go for a walk. Hey, you've been sitting a while. Don't you want to get up and do something? Like, I just think it can help us be more mindful. when used correctly.
And then there's the old guy here who's saying, well, this is radically different. When I was in college, there was a book that came out by Marshall McLuhan that said the medium is the message. He was primarily talking about TV at the time. And he basically said how the message gets distorted by the medium. And in fact, the medium itself, like television and someone passively talking to you from a screen versus in the room with you, that becomes the message itself, no matter what the substance of the message is. So I'm seeing that with technology too. So I think there is a dark side now. Right out of the chute here, I'm going to say I'm for technology, and we have to use it to our advantage. But I think with technology, even more so than it was in those days with TV, that technology has a danger of driving the boat rather than it working for us. We kind of work for it. Do you think?
Absolutely. There's some research that says that Americans spend about 5 hours a day on their phones, and we would underestimate that usage by 50%. 5 hours a day. Can you imagine?
Whoa.
Well, as an experiment, have you ever done this? The first time, I talk to people who say, I'm going to unplug and not be on social media or my phone for 24 hours. They'll tell you they kind of go nuts. The first few hours, they want to pick up their phone and look at it out of habit.
It's a physiologic reaction. They've done research of monitoring pulse, blood pressure, and so the stress, the cortisol levels, and the stress level just goes off the roof. So, I mean, that is, what we're talking about, where the technology seems to be driving the show rather than to be a slave to you or a factor for you. You know me and the hunter-gatherer history that we have as humans in common, and there are certain things that the social part of what we do is absolutely critical, and in so many ways technology helps us with that, but not exactly what we need. The research is clear that it is the physical presence, to be able to look at a face, to be able to see the nonverbal communication. That's very important.
Yeah, that makes me think of an article I read recently in Positive Psychology. They said, well, yes, it does enhance. You can talk to people and see people over distances in Skype, but you're not making exact eye contact, looking at your computer to have that positive resonance like you can when you can look directly at a person, be in the same room and kind of vibe off each other's energy from a remote distance. So I always think it can enhance your experience, but not replace social engagement.
Yeah, that's well said. That's well said. We do brain scans as people are communicating in person, or they're communicating via technology in between. And it's not the same. It is not the depth or and the interpretation is it's not as healthful or salubrious for us. It's not necessarily unhealthy, but it's just, as you say, it's not a replacement. So I don't want to be a Debbie Downer on this,
Well, Teresa, what was the phrase you used the other day that you were reading an article and she was saying about the addictions of going on like Facebook and getting the likes and needing the attention?
Yeah, taking a shot of Comparschlager, I believe.
I love that because social comparison is such a big thing. Like, you're happy with your life. Everything's good. You go on Facebook and somebody else is out on a yacht and you're like, I want that. Or if you look at somebody who's having trouble and you think, wow, my life's, better, but you don't want to wish ill on somebody else.
Particularly in adolescence, this can be very destructive. And we see it in teen suicides, the bullying over the internet. And we have to remember that we have something to compare this to. Even you young people, you had your life in the early time didn't have this technology, and you can look back and have comparison. But we have generations now, well into adolescence, who have never known anything else, and so they don't have a comparison. So this becomes more of a reality than it does for us. We know that technology is very valuable and can help us. Look what it does for you on those hikes. Like, that got you moving. Now, technology in general, I believe, has made us a little more sedentary. Our jobs, with computers and things, and cars and everything else, even low grade technology, not so high tech. But it can just as well make us more active and move more. So maybe that's sort of a metaphor for what we need to do. Have it work for us to make us have a lifestyle that we know is healthy, moving and continuing to learn. It certainly can be healthy there. Staying connected to others where we might not otherwise be connected, or to facilitate face-to-face connection, which is the best. And I don't know, maybe it can even help in the spiritual realm and, finding meaning and purpose and that sort of thing. There's
so much I think technology can facilitate, but maybe that's the key word, letting technology facilitate those things happening. But that 50% underestimation of our time is so interesting to me. So I think first we have to realize, is technology controlling us versus helping us? But by realizing how much time we are devoting to technology, that might be the first step.
Yeah. Are we living only a third of our lives? We sleep for a third. And if the other third is just engrossed in technology and not looking at the thing you're taking a selfie of, or not looking at people, or not moving, well, gee, that's problematic.
Yeah. And just being mindful of how much time you're spending and maybe allotting specific time. I mean, it's bad when you have to have some people have apps that will actually turn off their social media and lock them out because they can't be trusted. I mean, that's addictive behavior. So we almost have to take some time to monitor exactly how we're using technology, and is it helping us or hurting us, and take a hard look at our own lives and kind of do a technology audit.
Hey, let's do it with kitesurfing, okay? So if you're someone whose pulse starts to race and you get, a physiologic reaction to not being with your phone, maybe you're without your phone for 2 minutes every day.
That's great.
Not when you're sleeping, when you're awake.
Use that time to meditate.
and see that the world doesn't come apart. You don't come apart after a little while. And then extend that so that, there's more rationality in your relationship with this device.
Yeah.
Why not? I mean, we know it works for all other lifestyle change. And so I guess that's it. Knowing that technology is fantastic. Let's use it as a servant of ours to help us live a better lifestyle, so that we can have longevity and see the bright side of longevity, and not be more susceptible to disease from a lifestyle that makes us sick. So that's our message, maybe, huh?
I like it.
Hi. We hope this podcast is a source of inspiration. If you're ready to dive deeper into these concepts and really apply them in your life, join us over at Master Life. You'll have a personalized experience and lots of support to create your own long, bright future. mymasterlife.com